I'm not sure they're really having sex. It's like sex. I wasn't sure what it was, and I had 5 anyway, so.
There were only single dudes in the audience. Nothing but single dudes.
Y'all are in the wrong movie.
This is a different movie than what it is. And of course, they're probably thinking the same thing about me, but I have my notebook, guys.
That's right.
I'm like, look, I'm here to review this. Welcome to Fright Club. First rule of Fright Club, you do talk about Fright Club.
Second rule of Fright Club, you do talk about Fright Club.
Third rule of Fright Club, you post, share, comment, and tweet about Fright Club. Welcome. I guess the first rule before any of those rules is you show up for Fright Club.
That's
so
right.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you
Welcome.
very
We are
much.
back. Finally back at Gateway Film Center in Columbus, Ohio, and she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
From madwolf.com. And as the kids say, it's been a minute. Been a while because we've been busy making a movie, as you can tell from my T-shirt.
That's
sporting
right.
some Obstacle Corpse swag.
That's correct.
We filmed our very first feature, Obstacle Corpse, written and directed by Hope Madden.
That's right. I forgot.
So we had to shirk our Fright Club duties a little bit while that was going on, but we're glad to be back. And actually, that ties in. We've got 2 fun announcements. We think they're important. Hope you'll think so as well. And our first one actually ties in with Obstacle Corpse and how you can help us get it to the finish line.
And also, pick up a T-shirt. So we're going to have a fundraiser. It's going to help us cover post-production costs. We're going to have a fundraiser on Saturday, June 25th at Burns Pub. There will be a band and some merchandise, T-shirts. There's going to be autographed race bibs. So a whole bunch of the cast, which is a big group of humans, going to sign up some race bibs. And we're going to have a band. We're going to auction off some stuff, including some trophies, Obstacle Corpse trophies, actual props from the set, as well as some of our obstacle signage, Tube of Doom and the Log Jam and whatnot. And it should be fun. It should be a lot of fun. And I hope that you guys will come out and help us cover things like color correction and sound so that when we premiere it here at the Gateway Film Center at a Fright Club, you guys will be impressed by the product.
Yeah, so it's Saturday, June 25th at Burns Pub in Grandview. And if you're thinking, hey, did you have it there so you can walk home after you drink too much? The answer is yes.
Good call.
Partly. That's part of that.
I like
but
your
also that
thinking.
they are great to us. And speaking of the band, Ladies of Longford, friends
That's
of
right.
ours, a fantastic Celtic band, Irish band, is going to play for us. Did you mention the hours?
I don't think I did. 7:30 to 10:30 will be the actual event. And then, of course, you're welcome to just stay late with us and get drunk.
Yeah. And we're going to make a Facebook event, so we'll have all of those details up soon. But we wanted to make that announcement here, and I hope you can join us. We'll have to keep you in suspense a little bit for the second announcement. We'll have that a little bit later, but we want to say thank you. And a lot of them are here tonight. Last time
A lot of the
seems
Spooky
like
Buddies.
months ago
That's
when we
right.
had our last Fright Club podcast in the
was.
studio with the Spooky Buddies.
Yay!
A bunch of them are here. Thank you
a
so
whole
much.
bunch of them here. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Megan and Spencer
Yep.
and Monty and the soon-to-be married couple, Pina Joe and Dzak.
Yes.
Yay!
Very soon. Give you that early congratulations. So that was a lot of fun. We had the Spooky Buddies. We talked about Spooky Buddies and had a blast doing it.
It
so
was.
Thank
It
you
was
once
very,
again.
very much fun. It was not nearly the mayhem that I was promised.
And by the way, looking at the Spooky Buddies and looking at everybody else, good T-shirt game tonight.
Oh, yeah.
There usually
As
is.
always, correct.
But, we've got the Porkins from Star Wars, very nice. We've got Halloween. I think Seth had a Fulci shirt on.
Yep.
We've got Maniac over here. Very nice.
Who's wearing a dress, however? Who's wearing a Nosferatu dress? I win.
So that was last time, Spooky Buddies. Looking ahead to this time, the category, pretty self-explanatory. It's like those Lifetime movies where a babysitter killed my husband, and you say, what's that about? They had sex with what?
Yeah.
That's the category tonight. How did you arrive at that? Please, clue us in.
Actually, our beloved Melissa Dina she had a meme up. And it was somebody had put together a list of horror films about having sex with monsters, essentially. And I thought, and I looked through the list, and I thought, I can do so much better than that.
Personal
and so
challenge.
Let's see if I have.
You took it as a personal challenge.
did.
All right. Well, hopefully it has been successful. We're going to find out as we count them down and see one of them tonight.
Correct.
A fantastic movie called Spring. Get to see that on the big screen. I think a lot of people here maybe have seen it already, but maybe not on the big screen, so we'll see. A lot of people have not. And as always, we want to get your comments, your thoughts on it after it's done. Please come down and we'll talk about it and get you on the podcast. So that is how we got to this topic. So anything you want to talk about before we get to the 5 that we're counting down?
I think the main thing I was looking for was consent, because it's not difficult to find subhumanoid creatures having sex with women against their will. That's or demons or the internet. I mean, there's all kinds of
computers.
All kinds of. But that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for movies where all parties involved are willing. And then also, I went back and forth on the movie Society. I'm not sure they're really having sex. It's like sex. I wasn't sure what it was, and I had 5 anyway. So Society's not on the list, but watch it if you haven't.
That could maybe lead as a spin-off into a totally different category.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Maybe it's sex. That's
there
a long topic
maybe
title.
It's sex. But... Okay, so we narrowed that down, and we've got the top 5. Are there any? I don't see any on the list here that kind of just fell outside. Are there any?
Nope.
Okay, easy enough. Actually, maybe number 5 gets to that because we debated number 5 a little bit to whether it qualified or not, and we'll talk about that as we count them down. So at number 5, at a top-secret research facility in the late 1960s, a lonely janitor forms a unique relationship with an amphibious creature that is being held in captivity from 2017, the Oscar winner, The Shape of Water.
When he looks at me, he does not know how I am incomplete. He sees me as I am.
The natives in the Amazon worshipped it like a god.
Get him out. What are you talking about? No.
We need to take it apart, learn how it works.
I don't want an intricate, beautiful thing destroyed.
We can do nothing. I'm sorry.
Don't do this, Eliza.
What is she saying?
Don't do this.
Oh, God, it's not even human.
The Shape of Water. So the first thing we talked about was whether or not we considered this a horror movie. I know a lot of people do. I personally don't.
It's definitely a monster movie, though.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And she for sure has sex with him. So.
Yes, she does.
And and I really like it. So I think that's because I think you're right. I don't think when it came out, I didn't see it as a horror film, but I know that Scott Bradley of Hellbent for Horror, he definitely did. He had a whole campaign.
Oh, yeah.
About it. And then also Chris Hamill, the
From Here at the Gateway,
of the Film Center, he also considered horror movie. So it didn't occur to me when I watched it the first time that it is Guillermo del Toro. So essentially everything he makes is spooky, and has that sort of beautiful kind of grotesque fairy tale about it. So I could certainly see putting it in this category, particularly for this particular podcast.
Yeah, so it lands at number 5, and I love the quote from Guillermo del Toro about pitching it to Sally Hawkins. He said he first pitched the idea at the 2014 Golden Globes, and he said he was drunk when he did it, and he said, it's not a movie that makes you sound less drunk. No, it doesn't, but she is magnificent in the movie, as she always is, and it's such a heart on your sleeve project, which so many of his movies are.
They really are, yeah. And I think, and it's funny, a lot of times, especially monster movies, sensual monster movies, there's a romance about a lot of vampire films, but I don't think anybody does it as beautifully, as touchingly as Del Toro does. And in almost all of his films, you can find that kind of dreamy romance about the beast. Mm-hmm. And of course Doug Jones, who plays the beast in so many of his movies, and is magnificent in all of them. He's so great in Pan's Labyrinth. He's so great in Hellboy. I mean, he's just so wonderful in these movies, and he's just perfect in this film. But and also Michael Shannon. You can't not talk about Michael Shannon's movie.
Yeah.
He's great
Always.
in every single thing he's ever done. He's so menacing in this movie as his finger just rots away and he doesn't do anything about it. You're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
There are so many things about this movie that are really, really memorable. But Sally Hawkins,
she's so great,
just so phenomenal.
The whole thing is so poetic, and it's like a fable, a story with, of course, a moral. Yeah, Richard Jenkins. And the idea goes back, apparently Guillermo del Toro said the idea goes back to, as you might imagine, Creature from the Black Lagoon was a big inspiration. And he said when he first saw it as a kid, he thought it would be great if the creature and Julie Adams, who plays Kay in the film, wound up living together. He said he was 6 years old. He didn't know any better. So you can certainly see how this was inspired by that movie, not only from the look of the creature, but just the overall tone of it.
You know, I don't think he's the only person who thought the creature was maybe the better choice.
Probably not.
No.
But as a kid, that's a wonderful thing to wonder about.
Yeah.
You know, as that movie panned out, and this is it's a great. It has a great look about it. Everything, the production design, all the cast, as you mentioned, Octavia Spencer,
Right.
Michael Stuhlbarg.
Yeah.
So great. And although I'll be honest, it surprised me a little bit that it won the Oscar for Best Picture.
Yeah, it wasn't the best picture that came out that
No,
year, but
no, I didn't think
it
so.
was a great one. So, hooray.
It was a great one. And when you answered the question, they had sex with what? I guess it answers it in the synopsis, an amphibious creature.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
And they lived happily ever after.
They did.
Sally Hawkins and Doug Jones. So that clocks in at number 5 on our list from 2017, The Shape of Water. Moving up to number 4. Now, this is the one we're going to see tonight, so we're not going to talk much about it. But it's a young man in a personal tailspin fleeing from the U.S. to Italy, where he sparks up a romance with a woman harboring a dark, primordial secret from 2014. It's Spring.
I've been seeing this girl. She's really pretty, but she gives me some doubts. You're the most attractive person I've ever seen. But that doesn't outweigh that you might be a mental patient, and I gotta make sure you're the kind of crazy I can deal with.
No. I'm a bunch of confusing biochemistry and some crazy hormones.
Let's see if the young can keep up, mate.
I don't think you're ready for where this is going.
Explain it to me. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stay here.
So how many of you have seen this one?
Okay.
Okay, a lot of people haven't. Yay.
Good number.
I'm very
Good
glad.
number. But yeah, a lot of people have not. That's great. I remember this is the second feature from Benson and Moorhead.
Yep.
And the first one was A Resolution.
Which we've shown here.
Yeah, that I remember was, I think, one of the very last movies I reviewed for the paper.
Yep.
The other paper before it shut down. And I remember going into that movie totally blind, and it just blew me away with where it went.
amazing.
Yeah. And so when this one came out, I was so interested, and this one went in another direction when you hear that trailer and when she says, I have a condition that comes and goes. Yes, she does. Yes, she does. What, again, we're not going to spoil anything, but please come down afterwards. We want to get your reaction, especially if you haven't seen it already.
Yeah, I think the only thing, if you're familiar with their work, with Endless or Synchronic or, of course, Resolution, this movie is completely different from those films. And those films are all really kind of a piece. They've got a lot in common, those three films. And if those are the only ones of theirs that you've seen, I think that this is going to be a real surprise to you. But it's a beautiful movie.
It is.
It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing it and seeing it on the big screen. So we'll leave that behind and look forward to your comments later. That is Spring, number 4. 1 hour and 49 minutes later. So we liked it, yes? Yeah?
Yay. Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah, so it's Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. And once again, if you've seen any of their films, I mean, you start to see some familiarity. They work with familiar themes, but big concepts. I mean, this one has a lot of, especially in that last speech there, some age-old themes, but the concept is that they wrap it in here is definitely unique.
Yeah, I think, they go cosmic a lot, and in most of their films, there's sort of a time loop. They're preoccupied with time, I think, and in this movie, it's approached differently. But I think all of their films really straddle genres. I mean, I think there's a horror element to everything, and here it's definitely a monster movie, but it's so unabashedly romantic.
Yeah, and funny.
And it is funny, but Luke Taylor Pucci, I think, is just perfect in this movie. He's just earnest and open in a way that makes you just, you hope for the best, even though you're like, you're going to give up smoking? Fuck you. Is that really your offer? And yet, he just is so like earnest and sweet. But
the other lead is Nadia Hilker,
I believe.
Correct? Yeah. Yeah, they're an interesting couple,
They
and just like his other film, well, starting with I mentioned the first time I saw Resolution,
Yeah.
I was struck by the the humor in it.
Yeah.
And
Resolution's hilarious.
it really is. But this one has very funny moments as well.
Shitty Carl makes another.
Shitty Carl.
If you've seen any of their films, they always reference Shitty Carl. We never get to meet him, but they always talk about Shitty Carl.
One
which I
day,
find
maybe.
Very funny.
And for their second feature, you have to think the budget wasn't, it wasn't a synchronic budget, but when you finally do see the creature effects, they're not bad.
Yeah, no, they're not. And it's a gorgeous movie. I mean, the location is just beautiful.
Oh, boy, it really is.
What I loved most about it was the metaphor for sort of, new love. You want someone to be the same as when you meet them for the first time. And, this movie only takes place over a handful of days. And you want that person to be the same as when you met them right off the bat. And, this obviously takes it to the nth degree with her obviously, turning into a monster. So I love the metaphor aspect of it.
Yeah, right from the title, spring has always been thought of as a time of rebirth. And you see that theme over and over again. You see the flowers, you see the caterpillars and such, the insects, all those, that theme is represented visually all over the movie.
Yeah, I agree. It was a really gorgeous movie to look at. It was amazing that it was only their second film. Yeah, and it seems like a lot of their budget went to the effects with her changing into the monster, and also the fact that they shot it in Italy. I also really like the fact, like you were saying, how they kind of like keep on using like time as like a theme in their movies. Like you see that in this one, you see that in The Endless.
Yeah, I think that it's they're an interesting couple of filmmakers, and their preoccupations, I think, are very. You see them repeated. This movie is so much different than their other films, which I find fascinating. It looks different. The perspective is different, and Resolution I loved. I thought it was a great movie. It was a really well-made movie, but it looked ugly. It looked like a low-budget film. I mean, in a really good way. It was so hard to picture those two people making this movie as their next film. It's so just lush and gorgeous, and the themes are so much more feminine than they are in their other films.
They've actually said in interviews that they wrote this film as a counterpoint to Interview with the Vampire, to the Vampire Chronicles, and that it's about a creature who actually enjoys the condition that they have. That's an interesting way to approach it, but you can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Got some thoughts?
Yeah, one was that Roger Corman would have died for these locales.
Oh, yeah, that's really true.
And the other is, I got a very much of a nature vibe and predator-prey, where she was a predator, but she didn't want to prey on him, and he was trying to basically turn her vegan.
What's love? The theme is love and commitment.
So even though you said this one is different than their other movies, I think all of their movies so far that I've seen start out with a basis of the main character and his friends. This one started out with his mom died and his friends were with him together at the bar, and that propelled them there. And the other movies have been like, we got to go to a cabin and save our other friend, or we have to go to our cult and save our other friend. It's like, it always seems like the basis is like the main character and one friend together propel the whole story. And I think it's because it's two guys that make these movies together, and they use that as the basis for everything that they do in these movies. So
that's an interesting take, and I think that makes really good sense. I feel like in a lot of their films, the friction sometimes, to me, in their films, I think is between wanting to be together forever and being tired of being together, which might be their relationship. Like, we're stuck together, but also hooray. And I can see that, and I've never really thought of that before.
It kind of goes on how you were talking about how he's like, you can give up immortality, I'll give up smoking. I also thought that was kind of funny at first, like stupid. But the more you think about it, he rolls his own cigarettes, so it's kind of like this intimate process that means something to him. And that's all he has left in his life, really. I mean, his whole family's dead. So he was offering to give up everything he had for her. Granted, it was not that much, but it was everything that he had. So that's kind of what I got out of it.
That's actually an excellent point. And the other thing, if you think about it, is that it will extend his life. So, and she's given up living forever. And so the least he can do is stick around for as long as she's going to be here.
And they also claim, Benson and Moorhead claimed to be one of the first to use drone photography. They were playing with it early on, and this was a number of years ago, 7, 8 years ago now. And they said they were just kind of playing with it, seeing how many shots they could get, and almost everything that they shot with the drone ended up in the movie. And now, of course, you see it. It's a lot more prevalent.
I do love all of the Harry Potter
Yeah.
nods.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if I understand why they're in there, like thematically, but I thought they were fun.
There were a couple of shots, like when she did the thing with the rabbit and like the alley kind of thing, that like her structure looked like his mother's in the beginning, and I thought that was interesting.
Oh, that's a good point.
That is.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
These are good thoughts. Appreciate that.
Well, it's a head scratcher. This movie, I think, has a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
It's open to a lot of interpretation, I think.
It is. It is. But still about very universal themes, just put in a high concept, and that's what they do. So we look forward to what they're doing next. Actually, I was talking with, was it Brandon? You were saying they've been directing things for Disney Plus, some of the series.
Moon Knight.
I didn't know
Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, haven't seen
Which
any
we've
of
not
that.
seen, of course,
We have
but-
not. We have not. So we'll see what
Because we're lame.
what they do after that.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing it and seeing it on the big screen. So we'll leave that behind and look forward to your comments later. That is Spring, number 4 from 2014. Moving up to number 3, this is from 2016. A couple in a troubled marriage locate a meteorite, initiating an encounter with a mysterious creature. Their lives are turned upside down by the discovery of the creature, which is a source of both pleasure and destruction. The Untamed.
¿Regresarías? Solo da placer. Nunca ha lastimado a nadie.
No surprise that The Shape of Water was inspired by a creature from the Black Lagoon. Really no surprise if you've seen that this was inspired by Possession. Of course, it was also, the movie's dedicated to the director, Andrei Zulawski.
Yes.
I pronounced that right?
Good call.
Directed. It was inspired and dedicated to him. And this one, if you want to catch it, it's on Shudder right now.
It is. And it's an excellent watch. It's an amazing movie. And it's funny because he takes as sort of absurd and surreal as Possession is, this one is the absolute opposite side. I mean, it's so decidedly grounded in reality. It's so meticulously a family drama. And that makes this other part of it like so much, for me, so much more unnerving. You know, when you watch Possession, they're all nuts and they all do completely insane things. And you think, oh, well, of course, sure. I mean, why not? But in this movie, you're like, what the fuck? What is happening right now? But it's a big, weird meditation on sexual dissatisfaction. And I'm not sure how the director winds up solving that. Like what his final thoughts are on. It almost seems like at the end he's like, seriously, you're better off. Good sex is going to kill you. For me, that was the theme of that movie. So I'd be interested in what anybody else got out of it.
Yeah, because it blends elements of mystery and not just horror, and then elements of, is this really even happening? When you get into the creature effects, and they show a little bit of the creature there in the trailer. But yeah, very much sexual longing and dissatisfaction to the point of, I get that. What is the point? And they had sex with what certainly qualifies. And did they enjoy it? That's the other question.
Oh, they did. Yep, they did. Mm-hmm.
That's the Untamed, certainly one that's fits the bill here. Yeah, and it's certainly a style because it is interesting, just like you mentioned, though it's inspired by Possession and dedicated to the director. It definitely goes in different directions because you can break down different themes going on in Possession, and this one is harder to do that.
Well, and I also think, though, that it's just so much more naturalistic in everything about it. The performances are really stunning and heartbreaking in a lot of ways. It's a Spanish-language film, and the characters are so trapped in their existence by finances and also just by sort of the moral code of where they grew up and where they live. It's so very different. The context is so very different from this incredibly esoteric, very white bread world. In Possession, it's fascinating that the filmmaker found common ground. But it's a really good movie.
Yeah, we should say writer-director is Amat Escalante.
Yes.
And the performances, Ruth Ramos, Simone Buccio, and Jesus Meza.
And Ruth Ramos will just kill you. She's amazing.
Yeah, and that is number 3 on our list. They had sex with what? The Untamed from 2016. All right, moving up to number 2, getting toward the top. Well, this is the one we were just talking about from 1981. A woman starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior after asking her husband for a divorce. Suspicions of infidelity soon give way to something much more sinister. It is possession.
2 men and a woman no man could ever possess. Mortal terror. Inhuman ecstasy.
Almost.
Yes.
I wanted to show it to you.
The darkness is forever. Possession.
So this movie has made many a podcast for us because it's just, I fucking love this movie so much. It's such an amazing film. And Mark and Anna, they're having troubles in their relationship. And Mark suspects that Anna is being unfaithful. Is it with Heinrich, who seems willing to have sex with literally anybody else in the film? It probably is, but it's not just Heinrich. It's
Yeah.
also this big tentacled Moloch monster. What?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's but that's not even the weirdest thing that happens in the movie, I don't think, because there's doppelgangers, there's Bob. I love that their young son is named Bob. It seems like such a funny name for a child. It just seems Bob, and I don't think anybody's properly caring for Bob. I don't think his parents are looking after him very well. So luckily, Isabella Adjani also plays the school teacher who does look after Bob. The movie is nuts.
Yeah, this was initially banned as a video nasty in the UK in the early
what
80s,
wasn't?
then later approved in the late 90s. But this is one, we were talking about this just a little bit ago, that there's different ways to break it down, and a lot of people have. Of course, the easiest way, the most, I suppose, surface level interpretation is of divorce, because the filmmaker was going through a divorce at the time. But then when you consider that it takes place in post-war Berlin, in Cold War Berlin,
right.
There's a metaphor between, the wall, and which is a separation between countries, a separation of people and married. So there's a lot of ways to break it down, and also the fact that you always bring this up, whether something is even really happening or if it's in a matter of psychosis, her psychosis. You could bring that into this movie as well.
You could, and I think also because the first character that you meet is Mark, is Sam Neill, it could also be all in his head as he's leaving his super mysterious, dangerous seeming lab kind of medical, maybe military post job. We don't really know, but that's going to come back toward the end of the movie. So I do think that there's something to say, like he's trying to say something politically as well. But it could also all be in his head because he's clearly also going crazy. And he's great in this movie. Sam Neill is great in this movie. Isabel Adjani is just, she's just a force of nature in this movie. She's so magnificent. And it must have been awful to play that role. And she just does it beautifully.
Yeah.
She just wrecks you.
And of course, that scene of her in the subway has
station.
become iconic.
Yeah.
It was recreated by Rosamund Pike, actually, in the music video, the Massive Attack's music video, Voodoo in My Blood. And it's just become such an iconic scene, although there's many memorable scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
And this, we mentioned the filmmaker. I want to try to pronounce it once again, Andrzej Zulawski.
Yes.
All right. This is the one that we talked about because it was the inspiration for The Untamed.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. You talk about it from being Sam Neill's perspective. It could be in his head, but that's definitely true. You could see it from a lot of different angles, and it's once you bring the creature into it, it gets nutty, but yet it's grounded in very recognizable themes, I think.
Yeah, one of the reasons that I think that if you're not going to take it on surface value and you're going to see it as one of the characters' sort of bent reality, perception of reality, I think it's Mark's, because it's everything he's afraid is happening to his wife, or that his wife is experiencing, or that he can't satisfy in his wife. It doesn't make any sense to me for it to be from her perspective.
Well, and it's interesting too, the doppelgangers.
Yeah.
When they came in, how different they are.
Yeah.
They're almost like the
proper.
Or the proper, or the ideal of what the other one is looking for. And this is one we got to see this on the big screen. In fact,
Right
Gateway
here,
had a
4K
4K restoration of that, which is always a treat to catch this. And it's a memorable film, number 2 on our list. If they had sex with what? From 1981, Possession. So let's move it up to number 1, because let me time check. Oh, we got to get it moving. And this is pretty recent. This is just from last year. Following a series of unexplained crimes, a father is reunited with the son who has been missing for 10 years. Of course, it's Detain.
Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she acted, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there.
I so remember seeing this because there wasn't an early screening of it. And, of course, we wanted to get a review up, and I went to the earliest screening that I could find. And once I got there and it started, I looked around, and there were only single dudes in the audience. Nothing but single dudes. And I remembered the trailer, and I thought, boy, you
Y'all
all
are
think
in the wrong movie.
This is a different movie than what it is. And, of course, they're probably thinking the same thing about me, but I have my notebook, guys.
That's right.
I'm like, look, I'm here to review this.
That's
but,
right.
yeah, it turned out to be way different than the trailer makes you think it is.
It's from Julia Ducournau, whose Raw was such a spectacular film. One we showed for Fright Club. One of my favorite horror films of the last decade, at least. So we were very, very excited to see this movie. And then it won Cannes. Do you know how unheard of that is? Not only that a female filmmaker, but a horror film won.
She was
at
the
Cannes.
second female director ever to win Palme d'Or.
And I don't know if there's ever been a horror movie to win it. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And yet, it's a very recent film, so we're not going to tell you what she had sex with, because just in case, maybe you haven't seen it. And it's like 3 movies in one. It's the most original, unique concept. The performances are just stunning, and it's probably the most original film that I've seen in since A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, if not since before then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a fascinating, insane movie.
We should say the main performers, Agathe Roussel plays Alexia Rousseau, and Vincent Linden plays Vincent, and they are both great. And it's strangely funny. There's that one scene where she's walking around wondering how many people she has to kill. That is very funny.
It is really
it's
funny.
Also incredibly violent and weird, but in the end, it really gets down to a theme. And Julia Ducournau has commented on the fact that it's a continuation of the themes from Raw, specifically the idea that unconditional love is so remarkable and hard to find. And that's so true, because no matter all the craziness that happens in this movie, these two people form a bond that they want to continue no matter what.
Yeah. No, in a really weird way, it's a beautiful film.
It is.
But it's also just really messed up. In the best way. But we're not going to tell you how, because maybe you haven't seen it. Who hasn't seen it? Who hasn't seen Detain?
Okay.
Well, definitely.
A lot of people. So,
we
we do not want to spoil it for you, but seek it out. You possibly can. Yeah, see it. And that is number 1 on our list of They Had Sex With What, and we are running out of time, so we got to get on this. Should we hold the announcement, or just say it, or hold the announcement until after?
No, we have to say it now, because the slides will be down.
All right. We got to say it now. We're going to be moving Fright Club to Friday nights, starting in July. After much conversation with Chris Hamill here at Gateway Film Center, we have settled on Friday nights, and there is your timetable. Going to be happy hour at 8 o'clock. We'll do the podcast at 9, and then show movies at 9:30. So Fright Club, we hope you will embrace that to a Friday night party and movie here at Gateway.
Yep. And what we're going to show, which we've been trying to get for like 3 years, is Voices. It's just a remarkable film with Ryan Reynolds. And we're going to talk about cats in horror movies, because that sounds super fun, actually.
And somehow we're going to find a way to mention our diva cat, Velma, at home.
Oh, yeah. We're going to work her into the slideshow. There's no question about that.
So Friday nights from here on out, Fright Club. Hopefully you will stay frightful with us on Fridays, and that'll start again July 8th. Looking forward to it. And looking forward to this movie. So we're going to show Spring here in a minute. Yeah, reminder.
Reminder, come out to our fundraiser on Saturday, June 25th at Burns Pub.
Yep, 7:30 to 10:30. That it's 1248 West 3rd in Grandview. Live music from Ladies of Longford. T-shirts, lots of props, lots of things to auction off and have fun with. We hope to see you then. And again, we're going to make a Facebook post and put it on all the socials. And that reminds me, you can find us easily on Twitter to keep the conversation going, at Fright Club Pod on Twitter, and then on Facebook and Instagram, it's Mad Wolf Columbus. And the main website, you can always find us at madwolf.com. And also, Obstacle Corps has their own socials.
That's exactly right. We do. Obstacle Corps Film on Instagram and Facebook, and Obstacle Corps X on Twitter. And also, if they just want to talk about Fright Club
Mhm.
on Facebook, George, where should they go and do that?
It's been so long, I forgot to mention it. We have a Fright Club Podcast Facebook group. All you got to do is send a request to join, and we will, boom, you'll be added. We have a lot of fun there. It's fun stuff. It's movie stuff, and we just, we keep the conversation going right there on that Facebook group. So thank you for reminding me.
Sure.
That's how long it's been. All right, we got a movie to show. Let's talk about it afterwards. Looking forward to all your comments. If you don't have a button, come down and get one. And until next time, when it's going to be Fridays in July and from here on out, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Fright Club Podcast.
Stay frightful, my friends.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy the movie. Let's talk after.